All right, we are live. It's Mikey and Vinnie, Monday morning. A little
Is it
hungover.
Monday? That's why he
It is.
feels this way. It must be Monday.
It's the Monday after Sunday, which is mostly how it works.
And that was some
Although,
Sunday. That was a busy day of who, what, when, and where.
well, it was a well, when we take the all right, Kansas City one. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but it did. And
Ask Lamar Jackson. He's the one that didn't show up.
man, uh,
I didn't expect that.
well, everybody looks at him and says he is the greatest quarterback in this and that. I mean, I don't know. I think he's a good quarterback. He's obviously can put up numbers, but his
He, he,
his
he didn't look like the Lamar Jackson that brought him to the playoffs. Didn't look like him at all.
yeah, under pressure, and this is not the first time this has happened with him. I think he is when you put him in the class of the Mahomes and the Montanas and the Bradshaws and all of that. He doesn't measure up. I think he's lost 2 out of 3 championship games. Is it? I forget. There was a number that I saw. 2 out of 3, but he's just not. He's not up to snuff when it comes to championship quarterbacks.
I just can't explain it. The way he played getting to the playoffs was entirely different. The dynamics, the ability to run, the passing on coming out of the pocket, all evaporated yesterday.
Yeah, you wouldn't bet against him, would you?
I was
You know,
hoping that Kansas City would win.
you would never bet against the guy. But
As
yet,
I
what
told
I
you,
saw yesterday, uh, culminating in him throwing his helmet in frustration because he was so not him.
yep,
I
and they
mean,
were not them.
so Kansas City goes. What is it? The fourth time in the last 5 years. They're almost, and then you get to the game that I think America was pumped up about. I mean, I went out to the Tulalip Casino to watch the game yesterday, and there was, one table full of 49er fans, and everybody else was rooting for the Lions. And believe
The
you me, they
Lions,
were giving the 49er fans crap at halftime, and never open your mouth before the game is over.
the Lions got to win their half. That's all.
I don't know what Dan Campbell said to them in the halftime speech,
Stop all this nonsense. You're
but
the
it has
Detroit
to go down
Lions.
in history as the worst halftime speech in the history of football. I mean, what could have he possibly had said to them? Except when we get to fourth down, I'm gonna show you a couple of plays that I think will definitely lose us this game.
Well, the fact is, you saw two different teams. They changed. They changed their uniforms. They changed their attitudes. They changed their outcome. They changed their future at halftime. And sports psychologists are completely useless because they can never explain why a team shows up to play on somebody else's field and demands respect, controls the outcome, challenges them on defense, destroys them on offense, and then just stops playing football at halftime. And then the opposite is true of the 49ers, who couldn't find their arse, 3 and out, a field goal that missed, inefficient play and protecting Purdy,
Well, it
drop
just looked
balls, and then they
like
and
they
then they
actually
woke up. Then they woke up and took a pill.
like I said, I don't know what the halftime speech, if any, was with either of these coaches or players or whatever happens in a locker room at halftime. Uh, the 49ers were clearly getting their asses kicked.
We're getting as the story that I read this morning. They were being pushed all over the field.
Well, they were. I mean, they were. The Lions were completely and utterly in control of that game to the point where people started leaving at halftime to go back into the casino and gamble.
So they could have,
Many people thinking that this game was over. But the
well,
49ers,
what they missed was the tie for the greatest comeback in NFC playoff history.
well, I don't know that even the staunchest 49er fan would look at that game yesterday and have any reason to believe at halftime that the 49ers were going to come back.
Not at halftime, but I because I was one of those Niner fans on the couch in going into my deep depression. What I couldn't believe is how quickly they tied the game. How
Right.
quickly it was 24-24. I said, my God, what the hell's happening here?
It was like a flash bomb. It was all of a sudden, every ball that they had thrown in the first half that didn't connect started to connect.
Yep.
Every spin move that they made that they got stuffed, all of a sudden they were spinning out of tackles.
And Vinnie, you'll remember the miracle of Brandon Ayuk. The ball bouncing off the face mask of his defender, and he catches it and lands at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Like Alice in Wonderland. Drink me,
Well,
things will get
I
better.
immediately thought of you because you said on Friday that Ayuk was, watch Ayuk. He's going to be a guy to watch in this thing. And he certainly turned out to be, didn't he?
He did. Brandon Ayuk, look out.
And it just seemed like whatever they put in their bug juice at halftime, worked. I mean, they came out focused. They came out with their backs against the wall. They have 30 minutes to win this game, and
the
they
funny
didn't
thing
even
was,
need the whole 30 minutes.
And Brock Purdy got his confidence not from passing, not from running, but from scrambling and getting great yardage 3 or 4 different times, which is not his game, and it's not his way, and it's not his signature, and yet that's what he pulled off.
Well, that's when you like to grab the people that call him a game manager and smack them in the head. That's when you like to grab the people who will say that Brock Purdy is only great because of the talent that he has around him and smack them. This kid is a good quarterback.
Yeah, he turned out to be a great quarterback.
You want to cut it up. He's a good quarterback who makes players around him better. I don't know that many of the other guys on the team would be as good without Purdy there. I mean, it's a team. It's a team thing. Everybody makes everybody a little bit better, and that's what it's supposed to be, right?
And the array of weapons that they had but didn't use in the first half all turned out to be factors in the second half. McCaffrey, Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Purdy himself. Not to mention the protection he got and the running game and the effectiveness of running in short yardage affairs in the red zone. We ran it in.
As quiet as they were in the first half, it was as explosive as they were in the second half. As quiet as they were in the first half on offense, that's how explosive they were in the second half. It really was just a complete reversal. Meanwhile, the Lions couldn't get anything going.
They just lost their mojo
in the second half. It was like once the 49ers, I mean, it was like you could feel it 980 miles away here in Seattle. You could feel the air sucked out of the room.
Yep.
By the fourth quarter, you knew that the 49ers were going to win this game.
They had the swagger. They had the poise. They just looked like
you knew that there was no way that the Lions were going to come back from the hole that they had dug themselves in the third quarter.
And they're a good team.
And I mean, they went for a half a game. They went toe-to-toe and beat the crap out of the 49ers. Problem is, you got to play 60 minutes.
And who says all we need is 17 points and we'll be tied? Yeah, right.
Yeah, they didn't, to the 49ers' credit, They didn't let the fact that they were down apparently bother them in the least.
Well,
And
I think they must have been a little crestfallen when they missed that field goal in the first half. That looked like, my God, we can't even tie our shoes.
and the interesting thing is in that second half that the Lions continued to do what they were doing. They played their game, but it's just that the 49ers figured out what they were doing.
And the turnovers went the Niners' way.
Yeah, and another thing that we talked about on Friday is that you're gonna on the road, you got to win the battle of the turnovers.
You better not have any turnovers. You give them the ball, you're giving them a touchdown.
And it just felt like Detroit just lost all the wind in their sails. There's a lot of controversy about Dan Campbell's going for it a couple of times on fourth down, but that's what they do.
They love them all year long for doing that.
That's how they play the game. That's their system.
And you shouldn't be surprised when they go for it on the fourth down, just like they've always gone. 4th and 3, they go for it.
And a coach doesn't change. I mean, you make adjustment, but you don't change the whole way you play. You play the game the way you've practiced it. You play that game. You make some adjustments, but the reality is you play that game the way that the success has got you there. They were successful playing the Lions as they did the whole way. It wasn't a team that was 9-8 and happened to sneak into the playoffs. This was a team that that beat up on almost everybody they saw this year.
And that's a good example, a good description, a good outline of the talents of the Baltimore Ravens. What the hell happened to them? They scored one touchdown right off the bat. They scored one just like they scored them all season long. And then everything that Lamar Jackson has been famous for doing stopped happening. Running out of the pocket, running for 40 yards, throwing sidearm, a running game that they could rely on. None of that clicked anymore. And I know that John Harbaugh has been given credit as being a great coach, and on paper, with the results of his career, you'd have to agree with that. But what the hell happened to that team? They didn't get a pep talk at halftime that worked for them. They didn't turn around and assume their previous personality. They remained unable to execute on offense. And Kansas City, I don't think anybody predicted they were going to be able to shut down Lamar Jackson. Play him, maybe beat him, but shut him down didn't seem to be in the cards.
Well, I think the popular consensus is that the Baltimore Ravens were the best team in this 4-team set.
MVP. They can't be touched, can't be beat, can't be stopped, can't be challenged.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people will probably disagree and say that they thought the 49ers were, but I mean, the buzz that I was hearing is that consensus is that the Ravens were the best out of the 4 teams.
And I did not want to play the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
You don't want I don't think you ever want to see the Ravens. They're a team, and the only thing is that I know about the Ravens is because of the rivalry between the Steelers and the Ravens. I haven't seen them so many times. I haven't seen Harbaugh so many times. Is that it is a team that oddly enough runs on emotion. Maybe more than any other team I've seen. They get those rivalry games where they play Cleveland and they play Pittsburgh, and they come out, pissed off, and they come out hot.
Yeah, that's their personality.
Yeah, that's their personality, and I didn't sense any of that yesterday. They're getting beat by State Farm Boy.
I mean, Mahomes and my auto.
Yeah, Mahomes and my auto are beating them up, and Taylor Swift is singing a tune.
You know who gets more television time than Taylor Swift? Travis Kelce's got about six commercials running, and they all place them in his game.
Oh well, they love. They absolutely, the NFL has got to love the Taylor Swift thing. I was reading something yesterday that female viewership of the NFL is up 20%.
Just to get a
18
shot of her in
to
the super
18 to
box.
34 viewership is up like 40%. I mean, it's now appointment watching for the younger demographic that the NFL was struggling to bring in, women 18 to 34.
And Taylor Swift, how tall is she? She's 6'2"? My God, she's towers
She's
above
large.
everybody.
She's big. She's a tall woman.
Well, I'm happy if she's happy, but this happiness has to be curtailed now. And I do apologize, Taylor, in advance. But now, from here on out, if you're happy, I'm unhappy because that means the 49ers are unhappy. So, neener, 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 na, 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 na.
Well, it's interesting to me because it is one of those. We hadn't had one in a while, like a storybook kind of,
Romance.
athlete loves, movie star, you know, Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe, that kind of open public um, love between two people at the top of two different fields.
Yeah, we never got Joe Namath's girlfriend's name, Trixie and Crystal.
Well, yeah, I don't even think he got most of their names. But as he said in his interview this weekend, it was a different time.
Yeah, it's a different time. Bobulinski was in the news.
No lie about that, pal. Who is Bobulinski's Mamie Van Doren, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that his squeeze?
And in heels, she towered over him.
Yeah, Mamie Van Doren was Bobulinski's, and then it was used Cadillacs block off the strip.
Yep.
Well, so we get
only had one owner buried in the desert.
Do we have the two best teams in the Super Bowl?
Well, we have two very good teams. That's all I can tell you. The two best teams, well, you'd have to argue that given the season that we've had and the ups and downs that we've suffered through, and Kansas City, had an uneven season. They had some troubles.
Yeah.
They had some losses, even at home, that they couldn't explain. And it was driving them crazy. It was making Mahomes emotional on the field in a way that we hadn't seen him before. He went off on the referees one weekend, if you remember. So did Andy Reid. By the way, Andy Reid is the one representative of the old school. It reminds me of NFL films where the coach of the Cleveland Browns is going, "They're killing me, Whitey. They're killing me." And the old Kansas City coach is saying, "Yeah, that's it, boys. Matriculate down the field. Matriculate."
Man, it was. Well, I wonder now if you're going to have, it used to be years ago, and not that many years ago, that the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship games were always the games you wanted to see.
You never knew
They were
what
always
was going to
the
happen.
games to watch. They were always the better games.
Real battles.
The Super Bowl really didn't have a lot of great games. It was a lot of people were eating chips and drinking beer, and watching commercials.
The last Super Bowl that we went to together was like that. San Diego and San Francisco. And Steve Young threw a pass to Jerry Rice on the first drive that went for 75 yards and a touchdown, and San Francisco never looked back. It was not a good game. It wasn't an even game. It wasn't a close game.
Yeah, it wasn't. And things have changed a bit, but I wonder what we're going to get 2 weeks from yesterday. If we're going to get a good game. I mean, it's two good teams, obviously, so you should get a good game. But I don't know. You can also get it. You can also get it.
Everything we know about these two teams is that they should provide us with a high-scoring juggernaut. The defense will be a factor, but probably more in turnovers than anything else. And so that's what we won't get. It'll be 10-7 in the fourth quarter. I don't know how that could happen, but seemingly the two teams have two personalities. Both these teams have been shown up and played like champions. Both these teams have shown up and played like they're a 500 ball club. And I can't tell you why it happens that way. And I know a lot of people thought, well, it's Purdy. This is fun. The Mr. Irrelevant part of his career has finally come true. He's not a good quarterback. He's not a great leader. He's not a game manager. He's not a star. Well, anybody can feel that way by watching the first half. Now, what do you say watching the second half? Which is it?
Looked like a star to me. I don't know. I mean, he looks like a. I would not bet against him.
You know who likes him a lot? The 49ers do. You can just
Well,
see that you see he has the respect of his players.
They've ridden him to heights that yesterday's. I remember sitting there thinking that looking at the 49ers yesterday as that game progressed in the second half, and not seeing Purdy and Samuels and all those guys on the field, but going back and seeing Montana and Dwight Clark, and it was such that comeback was such a connection to the 49ers of the 80s.
Yeah.
Because that's how they used to come back and win games. That was
last drive.
It was a Joe. I mean, I'm so glad that Montana was such a big part of the ceremony and everything yesterday, because it really was a throwback to, you know, when the 49ers were great. The 49ers today don't get the credit for being as great a team as they did in the 80s. I don't know why that is. I don't know why it doesn't seem like the same, or at least to me. But, you know, you always heard the word dynasty attached to the 49ers. I don't know why anybody should be surprised that they would be at the Super Bowl. They're a great team with great weapons, a defense that crushes people.
Great coaching staff and great front office.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing from soup to nuts is we've always said that the 49ers have a great organization and a will to win.
You don't always know what's coming while you're enjoying your soup. You can ask about the nuts, but you can't have them till later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just but I remember sitting there yesterday watching that game and people hooting and hollering and jumping up and down and cold grilled cheese sandwiches and everything. And just thinking that this feels like watching the game at the bus stop bar on Union Street.
Yeah.
That there's a connection here that this team yesterday made its connection to the teams of yore. You know, it came together for me yesterday. There was just something about yesterday's win over that just I didn't want to see him beat the Lions. I wanted the Lions to win, really. I hate to say that, but I did. But in lieu of the Lions winning, I got the next best thing out of it, Michael, and that was this connection to the 49er teams of the 80s and 90s that when I first got to San Francisco, I loved.
They were chock full of talent and personalities. And
Yeah.
so we have it again.
Yeah, you had I mean, you had your Jerry Rices and your go through the list of great receivers and running backs. I mean, everybody on that team, even the kickers, had a personality and had talent and had
Ray Wershing.
Ray Wershing. Yeah, everybody owned a bar. Everybody had a bar on that team.
And so it should be. Where's your bar? El Sobrante. Remember what I told you. Location, location, location. Oh, we got drinkers in El Sobrante.
Location. Where's yours? Half Moon Bay. I'm down there. And now, I don't know if they all own bars, but because they make so much money, but good God.
In fact, McCaffrey's selling his house in Carolina for $12.5 million.
Yeah. Well, you can buy something. You can buy something in one of the neighborhoods for $12 million in San Francisco.
Oh yes, cash and carry. The market's down. It's a good time to buy.
Yeah, you can get something in probably in the Sunset.
It's the buyer's market unless you're too busy preparing for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but if you're that busy preparing for the Super Bowl, you can have somebody look for you.
You'd have somebody, something. My people will call your people.
Yeah, my friend Lorraine would be happy to go out and look for a house for you.
In fact, she could take that $12.5 million, make it go quite a distance in San Francisco. I bet the prices are down right now, especially as the LA Times is running stories. Is San Francisco doomed? They meant the city, not the team.
Yeah. I don't know if San Francisco's doomed. I know one interesting story I did see over the weekend is how much the housing prices in Palm Springs are dropping.
Wow.
I guess Palm Springs has instituted a law that says you can only have a certain number of Airbnbs.
Yeah, it wasn't working out for them.
So now you can't just buy a house and turn it into an Airbnb anymore. You have to get a permit from the city, and there's only a certain number of permits, and you have to wait till somebody drops off to get a new permit because there's only 1,000, whatever it is. I don't know what the number is, 1,000 permits. So now all these people have bought these houses on spec, thinking that they were going to be able to turn them into Airbnbs or little, Frank Sinatra rooms.
Little income,
are finding out that they're stuck with a house that A, they don't want to live in, and B, they can't rent it out to people unless it's a long-term lease.
I think that's probably a good rule.
A year.
I think the neighbors are going to appreciate that rule. Maybe the owners not, but the owners aren't living there anyway. They're just absentee owners.
Well, I think
right. Palm Springs is a vacation spot, so a lot of it is based on the vacation industry. But a lot of people just live there all year long. If you like it to be 116 in the summertime. And
a big Husky thing. Is the people from here? Didn't Don James live down there, and a whole bunch of the Husky football and basketball players? Didn't they move down to Palm Springs?
They did. I just don't always understand it, because if you want to live in a warmer climate, why not live at Laguna Beach? Why do you want it to be 116 in the desert with giant desert mountains and giant desert roads and Bob Hope everything? What is it about that attracts you? So damn hot you have to stay indoors.
I think it's the price. And I think for many people, the 116-degree temperature coincides with beautiful temperature here.
Yeah.
So in June, you get in your car and you head up north. And you come up to Seattle and you stay here for June, July, August.
Hoping it's not one of those summers where they. Remember once when we lived there, we had a summer that never showed up. It just never got to be summer. The calendar said it was summer, but the weather said nope. Yeah, it's still January.
Yeah, that's and I think every few years you get one of those up here where it just never turns. It just stays gray the whole summer.
The whole way. Gray the whole way. Follow me.
And but I think that's why Palm Springs and Palm Desert became so attractive to people from up here, because they'd go down and they'd come back up, and there was a lot of husky people down there. I mean, I don't mind Palm Springs, but I don't mind a 2-hour drive to the ocean. I mean, it's 2 hours to get from here to the ocean, to go to Ocean Shores. So if I'm driving 2 hours, I'd rather drive and get to, Pismo Beach or something like that.
Pismo Beach is rather nice. I love the Central California coast beaches.
Yeah, than Ocean Shores. I'd rather go to Malibu than Long Beach up here. I mean, the beaches here are not swimmable, so I'd rather, I wouldn't mind doing that. Going to, living in Palm Springs down there and commute to the beach, spend a weekend at the beach.
Well, it's 170 miles to the beach from Palm Springs.
Yeah, so that's 2.5 hours, right?
Well, you got to get through LA to get to the beach.
Yeah,
So
you do.
I
Well,
am
yeah,
sorry. No guarantees there.
can't go around Lancaster or something like that, or the other way.
It's
Go.
it's long. It's longer, but there's still LA between you and the water.
Yeah. Well, that sucks. I don't know. I just.
And there's a lot of LA right up to the water.
Yeah, as the weather gets cold here and dark, you start to always look at, this is the time of year when you go, where else could I be?
Pick a place. There's a lot of places to be.
Where else could one enjoy what I enjoy here there? And I start to come up with alternatives. Start to think about, well, I could go to Half Moon Bay.
That's just what I was thinking. You read my mind. I'm saying you could be over the hill from your sister.
Yeah, you start to think about that kind of stuff sometimes. Over the hill from my sister, but Half Moon Bay is kind of like here, though. It's gray a lot. Anyway,
the fog cycle is permanent.
Yeah, the fog cycle just doesn't go away there. But you do have, you don't have to stay by the ocean. You can drive through the Tom Lantos tunnels.
That's what they're there for.
Never thought that Tom would have tunnels named after him, but he does.
He was an extraordinarily lucky person to have a tunnel named after him.
Yes, he was. For those who don't know, Tom Lantos was a California state assemblyman, was he not?
And a tunnel aficionado.
And he loved tunnels. He got the funding. He said, you know what? We're going to get enough money to bore a tunnel through the bottom of these hills and take everybody away from Devil's Slide.
The devil got the name of the slide, but the worst slide is on Highway 1, about 12 miles south of Gordo. They've been working on it for over a year. It's not going to. 101 South is still not open from last year, and it's not going to be open until springtime of the coming year. And it's because of the slide. They rebuilt the hill, the whole damn thing. They rebuilt the slide. They rebuilt the road. They rebuilt the tunnel. They rebuilt. And they're taking their good, sweet time. It's driving the people of Big Sur crazy because they get no traffic from LA.
Yeah, you can't get. I mean, you have to turn around at what, Harmony, right? I think you have to turn around, or
you can't get past a rugged point.
Yeah, it's
ragged point.
That puts a crimp in the tourism, doesn't it?
Yep, a lot of rent-a-cars are not winding their way on Highway 1 for the first time. First time you drive that road, you got to go, where are we going and how are we going to get there like this? We're going 20 miles an hour.
Although I guess it probably helps Monterey, right? Because you go up 101 and you just go across and go into Monterey, right?
Well, if you want to go to Big Sur from LA, you do have to go to Monterey across 156, and then that'll take you to Monterey. You're still 25 miles north of the village of Big Sur, 25 miles from Esalen. So it's a lot of driving.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, there's no short route. Well, if Tom Lantos was still around, he'd build a tunnel.
What they need is some way to get over the hill without going all the way to Monterey. But then Monterey wouldn't like that. Monterey and Carmel would say, "What about all the gas you people used to buy here?" Well, Tom,
Yeah,
don't speak to me, Tom Lantos.
poor Clint Eastwood and his 8 kids. I mean, how are they going to survive?
How's he going to put a meal together?
He's, I mean, Clint needs special care now. He's 90 something years old. His kids are in their 60s. I mean, the whole family needs a little boost.
He's playing a whole series of angry old men. Have you noticed?
He's been playing an angry old man since Dirty Harry, hasn't he?
Yes. Yes. Dirty Harry
really,
was an angry old guy.
Maybe a movie that he hasn't played an angry old man since Dirty Harry.
And including Dirty Harry, who shot a lot of people, by the way. Every time he didn't get his coffee the way he wanted it, people were going to die.
He'd just like, he'd pull out the gun and he'd start waving that thing around, and it caused countless arguments about. I mean, I remember still to this day, because they, the popular claim with a 44 Magnum was that it would shoot through an engine block.
Now, let's see that. I want to know about that.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many people I know
tried it.
Got their hands on a 44 Magnum and stood in some auto body shop
and died from the ricochet.
And got popped with the ricochet. Because they failed to apply the scientific principles that one piece of the bullet goes through the engine block, but several other pieces of the bullet
go through you,
come back at you at speeds that you don't even realize.
What do you think that gun weighs? Is it like 15 pounds? It's bigger than the cat we have here.
Like a huge, it's a huge gun.
You just can't carry it on your hip without developing.
Yeah. You at the very least, you're going to develop a lean.
They'll give you a limp, and a bruise where the gun rubs against your hip.
Right, and at the very what they don't tell you is that Eastwood's wearing that gun for all of about a minute.
Also, they don't tell you that he can't shoot and hit anything with that gun. It's so damn big, your chances of hitting anything are remote. Even an engine block.
I think at this point it'd be hard pressed for Clint Eastwood to pick that gun up. They probably have a plastic model of it somewhere.
You could have a nice 9mm, and it doesn't have a kick, and it's more accurate, and it holds more bullets. Nope, not interested. Give me that big thing.
Well, he was interested until he found out that Alec Baldwin was loading it.
Alec Baldwin provided the gun.
Yeah, once he found out that that the gun was loaded, I mean, he said, I don't, maybe I shouldn't pull the trigger.
Well, they have a marketing plan for his movie that's a little unique. It's getting ready to come out.
Yeah, is that movie ever going to come? I mean, who's going to go see that movie?
Oh, people who make snuff films.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure tons of people. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be like a #1 hit when it comes out.
I just remember Alec Baldwin's initial comments. I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened, but I didn't do anything. Didn't you pull the trigger?
That'll be the #1 movie in town, won't it?
Yep.
And then interest will slowly fade.
And that scene will probably be cut out. In the interest of the families involved, we don't have we removed that. But that takes all the no.
I would think it would be cut out, Michael.
I want to see that scene.
Come to the midnight show where we actually drop it back in.
We reshot this. Yeah, it's not the original.
Yeah, watch a real live woman die on screen. Uh,
In fact, the people that died were not in the movie. They were a crew and
yeah,
support.
was there film of it of her? I mean, because I know they weren't shooting her because she was a producer, or director. I forget.
Director.
Director, photographer of some kind. But so I mean, there would be no unless they were just had a general surveillance type videotape running on the set just to record everything for posterity.
No, I don't think there's a shot of it, but because they say there isn't, that probably tells me there is.
Yeah, somebody's got a tape of that somewhere. Um, and Baldwin is probably paying them handsomely not to release it to.
And here's the part where you shoot her. I didn't. Oh,
Maybe I did. I hate to be a killjoy here, but I don't know. So,
So who's Alec Baldwin got in the Super Bowl? That's what you want to know, right?
boy, I could care less about who he has in the Super Bowl ever since they came up with that guy James Austin Johnson on Saturday Night Live. I mean, Alec lost his biggest role, right? I mean, he was doing a recurring Trump every week,
and not as good as Austin Johnson. He does. He's picture perfect.
Yeah, he really does a good Trump. Does it, and probably works a lot cheaper too.
I would think.
Although they had an interesting gaggle of people on Saturday Night Live this weekend.
Should I watch it? I have taped it. Should I watch it?
Yeah, the first half was pretty. Actually, yeah, the first half was pretty good. Actually, it always seems to go downhill after Weekend Update. It's almost like
anyway.
they run out of stuff.
Yeah, and here's some stuff we didn't quite finish.
Yeah, but the Dakota Johnson hosts it, and she's okay. I mean, she's not. I don't know. I'm not a big Dakota Johnson fan, but
she's not as good as Travis Kelce as a host, right?
Or Jason Momoa. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who I thought was a really good host this year and this season so far, and I don't know that they really had somebody that was dynamite, but they had a strike for how long? I mean,
they have a lot of people that are not ready for prime time.
Yeah. It's not the greatest cast. There's some gems there, but it's not. It's not one of their stellar seasons. I think when they lost Kate McKinnon, it was a big shot to that show.
She's so damn funny.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. She's not funny on her own. Her impersonations that she does,
the characters that she assumes,
the characters that she does are very funny. But when she hosted what just before Christmas. I didn't think she was that funny.
She was herself, and that's not funny.
Yeah, I don't think she is very funny, but I think that the characters that she plays are hilarious. She has she just really has a good creative mindset for the characters that she's developed. But on her own, I just didn't think she was that funny. I'm sure somebody will send me a nasty note saying you're not that funny if it bit you.
Well, it wouldn't be funny if it did bite you. That's not funny.
Who's A, doing the biting, B, who's doing the watching, and C, how big the teeth are.
I had something funny happen with our 4-year-old grandson. We were getting ready to leave the house, and he came up to me and gave me a stud finder, which is they use to hang pictures, I said, "What's this?" He says, "We're not using it, and I want you to have it."
I have a stud finder. I know exactly what what you can do with that.
I just couldn't believe it.
Why did he seem like he wanted you to have a stud finder? Was
It
there
was
any
he considered it a token of his esteem. It was a gift that I was to appreciate and treasure forever. I said, "Well, you're going to need it here, so I can't have it. But thank you so much for the thought. No, I want you to have it."
I was gonna say, what did his dad think about that?
Well, the stud finder stayed where it belonged, and it was a big one. It was a big professional one, not the tiny little ones, but the ones about the size of a sandwich.
Yeah. um. Well, it sounds like it was good intentions.
Well, the intentions were pure, but it was funnier than it was touching.
He just wanted Grandpa to have something. Take something with you.
Take a little something. Remember
Never
us
let guests leave the house
empty-handed.
with less than they came with.
Right. Can't be explained. You have to be
Billy
four.
used to do that with cookies. She'd pack
Cookies
up
are good.
cookies, take these with you for the ride back to New York.
They didn't get far.
I don't think they made the Holland Tunnel.
I don't think they made the car.
Depending on what cookies she was giving you. She made them pinoli cookies. No, they didn't. They never made the car. So early thoughts about the Super Bowl, Michael.
Niners by 7. 38-31.
No mystery here, right? Just you're going right for it. Yeah, I don't know yet. I got to think about this. I mean, I will obviously be. You all let me back in to root for the Niners after I rooted for the Lions.
You're back. Right? I was thinking yesterday. I wonder if Vinnie will let me on the Lions team. I'm sure it's all not rooting for Kansas City. Will Vinnie let me on the bandwagon?
You know what I say about bandwagons, Michael. My bandwagons always have enough room for anybody who wants to jump on. I never understand fans that say, "Well, I rooted for the Steelers all along. You can't root for them now. I was here first." Who cares?
Nobody asked you.
It's not a
who's in charge of the bandwagon. Let me speak to him.
Yeah. I used to love, we used to get it all the time with the Sonics. People would say, "Well, I rooted for the Sonics, 1967." I mean, who cares?
Nobody's liked you since 1967. What are you talking about? Why would you bring that up?
So you like the Sonics in 1967?
That's why I can't root for your team. That's right. It's my team.
I own the team. I bought it from Sam Schulman. I never understood that kind of that mentality.
I don't want you rooting for my team
since 1946. So what? Although, I mean, so what are you saying? That I can't root for the 49ers because I rooted for somebody else for a season?
By the way, there were a lot of Detroit fans in Santa Clara yesterday. You probably noticed that.
Yes, they traveled well. Well, it was funny, Michael. It was a lot of people. I think it became a thing in this country
to support Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah.
They suffered long enough.
Yeah, I think it really became, as in my case, you looked at this team, you say, well, the 49ers have been there how many times since, the 1981, and Detroit hasn't been anywhere since 1958. The baby boomers have exploded since Detroit was in
baby boomers have nearly died out.
Yeah. So give him a break. Let him. It'd be much more huge for the city of Detroit and the psyche of Detroit than it would be for the 49ers.
The faithful.
I mean, it's just, I mean, almost to the point of you wonder sometimes I mean, you remember what happened when the 49ers were good in the 80s. People started to take it for granted.
Yeah.
It's like we have a divine right to be there. It's our, it's like, and then all of a sudden they stopped going, and they
When
weren't.
Eddie DeBartolo left, and so did the mojo.
Yeah, and where is Eddie? How come he's not? I mean, does he have absolutely nothing to do with the team anymore?
No, never there. Not a factor.
Kind of sad. I mean, I used to love seeing him at trophy presentation or
The team loved him.
going on.
Teams don't always know or have a relationship with their owners, but Eddie was loved by the team.
He was loved by everybody. Who didn't like Eddie?
He had the special jets with a room between the seats and 2 meals for everybody, and treated him like royalty. He was the first owner to do that.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I love the guy. I mean, I know there was this problem and that problem, but he was. I always enjoyed the guy.
He was Eddie D. They loved him, and the fans loved him.
Fans loved him. The players loved him. God, did the players love him?
Yep.
And it was hard to. And I've told you the story many times of driving, in Youngstown, Ohio, man, and you're driving along this. I don't know, is it Route 7 or something like that? You see this huge building, and right there up on the building in the middle of Cleveland Browns country is a San Francisco 49er logo.
Probably as big as the day, big as all daylight.
It's and it's the headquarters of the DeBartolo Company.
Eddie D. Jr.
Eddie D. He doesn't care that he's 4 miles outside of Cleveland. He's got his 49er. It's like they're the home team.
And he was a nobody. He was an unlikely owner to be beloved and the chief executive of Champions.
Now, did he buy the team off of Muley? Was that?
Muley still owned a piece. I don't know if he does now, but he was a minority owner all the way through everything. Franklin Muley.
Yeah.
Used to own the Warriors too.
Who owned the Warriors? Yeah, used to see him at Warrior games all the time.
And he wore that deerstalker cap, which I don't know why, but he did.
Yeah, it was a guy with a lot of money. Probably not by today's standards, but by those days' standards.
He was a bit of a eccentric.
Yeah. But in those days, you could be an eccentric and be a sports owner, right?
Well, in those days, if you were a lawyer, you had to be an eccentric. If you wanted to work in San Francisco, you had to be Melvin Belli or someone of his ilk.
Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? The other eccentric.
Hannigan.
Halloran? Vincent Halloran?
There you go.
Yeah, Vincent Halloran. Who wound up being a DA, right?
His son.
Son, yes, his son. And even had the crazy police chief, Jordan, Frank Jordan.
That's in San Francisco. Everybody was a character.
Yeah, the police chief was a character. The mayor was a character. Everybody. It was a town, and you had Herb Cain writing about him all the time.
Plenty of ink.
He kept them all.
Kept them all arranged. What column is he in today? He's in the full eccentric column today. He had quite a weekend.
Yeah, you had the somewhat, and then you had the Sunday non-eccentric column. It it was something worth seeing. It really was. All right, so now we got 2 weeks of hype coming.
It's like what's going to come first, the Super Bowl or the South Carolina primary?
I don't know. It's interesting to see. How about E. Jean Carroll buys the 49ers?
Only if she puts it in the hands of someone who knows how to run the team. Give it to the Shanahan family to run. But go ahead, invest if you must.
$83 million.
How are you going to get that $83 million? I don't know. How much goes to the lawyer? I don't know. But I'm telling you, she took him to the cleaners.
Well, that's a big enough verdict that you can give up half of that.
Oh, yeah.
And you're okay.
Taxman wants his part.
Come and take it. I still get $40 million? Or is the judgment like that taxable?
That I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I wonder if a judgment like that is taxable.
It's a settlement, so it's not necessarily income, but I don't know how the taxman looks at that. I can't believe the taxman doesn't want his part of $83 million.
Yeah, there's got to be some way, somehow, somebody is going to get a piece of that $83 million.
Yes.
But, the lawyers are going to get,
33 1/3.
Probably plus expenses, plus points on a book deal.
Now, this is what I hate about the internet. Is your body young or old for your age? How to check and how to turn back the clock. Yeah. Some writer for Apple News has figured out a way to turn back the aging clock, and he hasn't told anybody. He's kept it secret all this time. But now, finally, how to turn back your age clock. It's been there all along. We just didn't know that. Whoa, this switch. What was that? I told you not to touch that switch. That's the turn back your age switch. If you touch it when you're too young, you become an infant. So Apple News has had the secret all along, and they've kept it from the world, how to turn back your age clock. Everybody would be 16 for one day. What a mess that would be.
Why, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine me trying to get rid of my pimples all over again. I mean, we forget how hard it was to get rid of those pimples. Stridex pads all over the place and pimple cream.
Wash your face. You got to go to the village. Something's happening in the village today.
Well, if I'm going to the village, I don't have to wash up. You always call them dirty hippies. Why do I have to wash?
Worse.
Oh, Lordy. All right. Well.
So I'm saying 38-31. You got to pick for the team to win the Super Bowl.
I'm in no rush to pick today. We got 2 weeks to.
I'll forget what I picked. 14-3. You said 38-31. I did not.
I'm not even writing it down. I'm going to give you. I'm going to say, why don't you take a look at it and see what see what you think, and because it's just so early.
Well, of the playoff games, the higher scoring game is the Niners, and I think that if you're going to beat them, you have to score more than 30 points. And Kansas City is capable of doing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, because they beat the 49ers, what, two years ago?
Yep.
2 years ago, they beat the 49ers. Last year was the Eagles. Yeah, it's they're a formidable team, the Kansas City Chiefs. And do you think Andy Reid is going to pack it in after this year, or is he going to stick around to break Shula's record?
He's just the most unlikely guy. I saw him walking into the stadium. He's wearing a black suit. He looked like a retired bouncer. Didn't look coachy. Didn't look football-y. Didn't look NFL-ish. Didn't look like a champion. Didn't look like anything of distinction. And then he just goes right out and beats Baltimore in their stadium. And it was a decisive game.
Supposed to be one of those guys that the players love, man. I mean, it's he's got quite a coaching tree, and
you look at him, you don't say, I wonder if he played football. No, he did. Just look, he's got a limp. course he
Yeah,
played
he just
football.
looks. He looks. I mean, I don't know that you've ever seen him and Mike Holmgren in the same place at the same time, but
And he's got him by about 80 pounds.
yeah, but they're cut from that same NFL coach's cloth.
Oh, yes.
They got that same look about them.
You wouldn't look at that guy and say, "What do you know about football?" I was a guard.
Oh no, you if you had a football question, you'd walk right up to him. If he was sitting in the train station,
Yeah.
you'd walk right up to him and go, "Listen, you look like you know about football, huh? How many
Where did
yards?"
the run pass option come from?
Yeah. He's going right for it. So I'm not going to predict anything quite yet. I think we should convene here on Wednesday and start to put together our predictions.
Okay. We were going to meet on Wednesday anyway, but now we have a theme.
Well, yeah, I think we should take all the time we possibly can. I think we should do a special pregame show for the Super Bowl, and just before the kickoff, give people our predictions.
We could drive around Las Vegas during the game in a rent-a-car and give traffic reports every 5 minutes.
We could do that. You think?
I don't want to do that, but we could.
We could. I mean, we could jump in a car and drive down to Vegas, and
end up listening to the game on the radio
and do our show just standing in the parking lot.
I thought we could just go to Radio Row and be the guests that everybody loves. What do you got? We're at 6 a.m. back home. We got nothing. We can do 20 minutes.
We're the ambassador and vice ambassador of a team that feels like it wants to start its own football league in 2026, the country of Slovakia.
Now they're going to have just one national team, or they're going to have a league within Slovakia.
We are on mission to learn what better. Have one team for whole country, or one team for each exit on 66.
Now, can you imagine going around we need a bunch of big guys for the line. Do you Slovakia big guys, they have a club or something? Where do we find them?
Law that says nobody can be over 200 pounds.
In Slovakia, the women are over 200 pounds. What are you talking about?
No guy can be over 200 pounds.
Oh, I see.
This comes from federal lawsuit. Lawyer's name is Robert Hall, where you get 2 lawsuits with each pair of pants.
Trying to buy as Captain Beefheart would say, try to buy a grunt with a third-party check with a pinchback suit. Willie the Pimp.
Yes, we need to. Yeah, maybe we need to show up in Vegas, Michael.
Who's gonna? We're just filling holes in people's broadcasts back home. We got a week 7 o'clock hour. We'll be there. We'll do 20 minutes.
We'll be there.
You'll see.
You heard of Mr. Irrelevant? We're the irrelevant children.
We can be anybody you want. You want us to be Biff Jiggerman? You want us to be New York Vinnie? We'll be who you want.
I'll give you 15 minutes on anything. You tell us what you need, we'll be there. And we
radio
appearances.
Yeah, Radio Row Solutions. That's us.
That's us. We're consultants. We consult on everything. All right, I will see you on Wednesday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
It'll be a wacky Wednesday, Vin.
As they say in New York on the license plates, Excelsior. And also a little peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
As they say here, Wairika. I have found it.
Who thought of what is Wairika as opposed to Eureka?
Well, they're both Indian words, and Eureka is what you say when you find gold. Wairika is what you say when you take the wrong exit.
Okay.
You said it was Weed. Weed's coming, but you took the Wairika exit, so now you're in Wairika.
Well, now I got to drive down old 99 to get to Weed.
It's always there.
Where is new 99?
It's in your mind. New 99 is in your mind.
Check out your mind. All right, man. I'll see you on Wednesday.
What a wine.
See you, Mikey.
See ya.
Thank you all for listening. Okay, there we go.